Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can implement Hilt in Java. So I'll show you how you can use Retrofit with the help of view model. I'll show you with the help of repository how you can make the network API call and get the data and display it on the RecyclerView. So let's begin by adding some packages. So first package I need Dagger injection or the dependency injection. Second package I need a network. In this I'll keep some network classes, and another one is view model and the model classes and the adapter for the recycler view. So first of all we need to add dependencies. So I'm adding manually all these dependencies. I'll provide you all these dependencies in the description section. So I'm adding first the hilt dependency, then retrofit. When we add retrofit, so we need to add the converter. So this is the converter dependency, and I'm going to use the glide library. So I'm adding that dependency, and as I said, we are going to use the view model. So I'm adding the view model dependency now. And with the hilt, we need annotation hilt compiler. So I'm adding that dependency. And inside the build.gradle file, that is the project level. So in that we need to add another dependency, that is the plugin, that is hilt-android-gradle-plugin. And inside our module dependency, we need to call a plugin. So it's showing some error now. Let me see what's the missing part. It is still showing. Okay, so the other spelling is not correct of implementation. Now there you go. So first class, I am adding the app module as we need it, and we need to annotate this class as the module, and we need to annotate it as the install in, and then we need to make it as the singleton component class. And here I am defining a URL which is going to be make the use for the API call. So this is as usual the GitHub API. We have so many videos on the GitHub API. So this we need to take it out. And now I'm creating a function which is going to return the retrofit instance. I'm adding the converter factory at the JSON and then build. And inside the module, we need to annotate this function as the singleton and annotate with the provides. And now inside the network, I'm creating an interface, that is our retro service interface, which is going to basically have the method of that API call, like a get method and the query parameter, and what that method is going to return. So it is going to return call. I'll create a model after defining this function. You can give any name here. And this function is going to have a query parameter as part of the URL. So let's check it inside the URL. So that is the queue, and here we need repositories. So I'll add it inside the get. And now we'll take this query from the view model or the repository. Showing some error. Okay, we missed the. Now we'll create a model. So let's create our model classes, which is going to actually hold the data. So first class is the recycler list. So as you can see, items, we are going to receive array of items of array. So I'm defining a list and the items, and we need to define what kind of the list it is going to be. So I'm creating another data class that is going to hold name. So I'll define as a new variable name, another variable description, and the third parameter I need. Okay, let's first use this inside our interface and then we'll import it. And now inside this we'll create a constructor first and then setter getter for this class. Inside our data class we need one more variable that is for the owner, and it is going to hold avatar URL as the string. So first let's create another class owner and let's define that variable now. So if you want to hold some more data, you can define more variables in this model class. Now similarly I'll create a setter getter for this class as well. And now I'll define another variable inside our recycler data class and its object. Similarly, I'll create constructor and the setter getter. So our model class is ready, our retro instance is ready, and our retro service is ready. So now go back to our app module and create another function that is going to return the instance of retro service interface. Then we'll pass our class, that is the interface. And similarly, we'll annotate this as the singleton and the provides. So our app module is ready. Now I'm creating the application class as we needed while we are implementing in the Dagger either Hilt. So we need the application class that need to be extend by application, and we need to annotate this class as well, Hilt Android app. So our network, we need to create another class that is going to be the retro repository. So this is the basically the repository which is going to make the API call. And let me create a constructor for this class, and that constructor is actually taking the retro service interface instance, and then another public function make API call which will take query as the input parameter, and then it will call retrofit. and this override both the function that is on response and on failure. I'll come back to this function once we implement our view model. So it's time to create another class that is going to be our view model. There we will define our live data so that this repository can return the data to the live data and it can be observed on the activity. And this view model is need to be annotated hilt view model. So remember, don't forget to annotate this view model. Now I'll simply define a view model, mutable view model, mutable live data. And inside this constructor, we'll simply initialize this mutable live data. And now I'll simply create a function which is going to return this live data. Either we can create this live data as the public, or we can create a public function which can return this live data. So it's totally up to you. On this live data, we'll be setting up the observers. And I'm creating another function which is going to make the API call, which is going to call the retro repository functions. So I'll be creating a retro repository instance now. And here we need a retro service interface. So let's annotate it with the inject. So we'll simply call inject and we can get the instance of our retro service interface and we'll pass it to the retro repository. And then we'll simply call make API call and pass any query parameter. I'm passing US. So this is basically the API request. And we need to have this repository as that live data also. So we'll pass this live data to that repository class. And from there, we'll directly call post value function. So if response is successful, then simply return the list. If response is not successful, then return null. At this point of time, you can return some error or something, whatever your requirement. Now our view model is ready, repository is ready. So now it's time to implement our main activity. So first we'll create a layout. So first step is we'll add our recycler view inside our layout file. So I'm simply adding a recycler view on the one recycler view on top of the activity. And we'll copy this recycler view ID and we'll create another function to initialize this recycler view. I have similar video in Kotlin as well if you want to take a reference. So I'll provide you a link in the description section. So we need to set the linear layout manager to our recycler view now. And then we need an adapter as usual. So I'll be setting the adapter, but at this point of time we don't have adapter. So before that, we'll call this function from the onCreate and we'll annotate this main activity as the Android entry point. So this is very important in the Hilt. Now I'll create a separate class for our adapter. We'll extend it with the RecyclerView.adapter and we'll pass our custom view holder. I'll create this class later. First we'll override all the functions of our adapter. Now it is showing some errors, so let's create this class first. Now I'll create a constructor for this class. I'll generate this. There you go. Now we need to hold the data in the list. So I'm creating a variable. This is going to be the type of recycler data. We'll create another function so that we can set the data or we can update this list items from the outside. Now this get item count should return the size of the list. If the list is not yet get the data, so it is going to be have the null, so it should return 0, else it should return the size of data. Now inside onCreateView holder function, we need to inflate the layout. So we'll use the layout inflator dot inflate and we need to pass the layout file, but we don't have a layout file, so let's create a layout file. So I'm creating a simple layout file that is going to hold a linear layout, and inside linear layout it is going to just have one image view and two text view, because we are just having 3 values to display. On image we'll be displaying the image outer URL, and on text you will display the name and the description. So layout is ready. We'll pass the same class name here. And then parent comma false. And then return new my view holder, and then we'll pass this view. Now inside our my view holder we'll be initializing or declaring the image view and the text views where we need to display the data. Now inside on bind view holder, we'll be setting up the data to our text view. And now we need to get the image and set it on the image view. So I'm going to use here glide library for caching up the images while downloading. So our view model is ready now. We'll go back to our main activity and declare this view model, adapter, and then we'll set this adapter to our recycler view. Now the last step is we need to initialize our view model and set the observer to our live data. And then we'll call our view model dot make API call. And then we'll call this init view model from our own create function. And once we receive the data, then we will set this list or the items to our adapter. If the data is null, then we'll simply show a toast message to the user, because you remember we are returning null in case of API is getting failed or some error occurred. So if we are receiving null, that means we need to show a toast to the user. That means there are some issue with the API call. And if that data is not null, that means we are returning the actual list data. So we'll send that data to our adapter, and then we'll call adapter.notify dataset change. So we have one more step, that is our manifest file to update. So we need to add the internet permission because we are going to make the API call. So let's add that file. And also we need to register our application class. So let's register it. And now let's review one time before we run our application. So we have two functions inside it. One is returning retro, one is returning retro service instance that is on place. And this retro service have query and the repositories, and our list have items, it have name and description, it has avatar URL. Inside this repository we have function defined which is going to make the API call, and then it is returning to the view model, and then we have live data initialized inside our view model. So we have one step missing, so we need to annotate inject to the view model constructor. This is very important, otherwise you will get the compile time error if you forgot to inject this constructor of your view model. And then our application class, we annotate it as a Android app, Hilt Android app. And inside our main activity, we are initializing RecyclerView and view model. Let's run and see. There you go. So guys, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section. I'll provide you the code link in the comment. Thank you so much.